Hello, story lovers, and welcome back to our little corner of wonder. Today, we're journeying deep into the Whispering Woods, a place of tangled roots and ancient secrets. But we're not looking for grumpy giants or fire-breathing dragons. Oh no, we're searching for someone quite different. His name is Barnaby, and he happens to be the most polite ogre you could ever hope to meet. Now, Barnaby wasn't your typical ogre. He didn't live in a murky swamp or a gloomy cave filled with bones. His home was a cozy, oversized cottage carved into the side of a mossy hill, with a garden full of giant, prize-winning pumpkins. Instead of roaring, Barnaby hummed. And he never ever forgot to say please and thank you. One sunny morning, Barnaby was tending to his pumpkins, carefully polishing a particularly large one with a soft cloth. "Excuse me, dear pumpkin," he'd murmur, "would you mind if I just dusted off this little spot?" "Thank you ever so much." Suddenly he heard a tiny frantic squeaking sound. He looked down and saw a field mouse with his tail caught under a fallen branch. "Oh my goodness!" Barnaby exclaimed, his deep voice rumbling gently. "You poor little thing. Please don't be alarmed. May I be of assistance?" The mouse froze, his whiskers twitching with fear. An ogre, but this ogre's eyes were kind. Carefully, using just two of his enormous fingers, Barnaby lifted the branch. "There you are, my friend," he said softly. "Do be more careful next time. Have a splendid day." The mouse gave a grateful squeak and scurried away, its heart a little less terrified of ogres than it had been a moment before. This simple act of kindness was just the beginning of Barnaby's unexpected adventure. Later that day, as he was collecting firewood, after politely asking the trees for their fallen branches, of course, he stumbled upon a pixie weeping on a toadstool. Her tiny wings drooped sadly. "Good afternoon," Barnaby said, kneeling down so he wouldn't seem so intimidating. "Pardon me for intruding, but you seem quite distressed. Is there anything at all I can do to help?" The pixie, whose name was Flicker, looked up with tear-filled eyes. "My glowing staff. It's my job to light the moon petal flowers at dusk, but I dropped my staff and it fell into the gurgling creek. It's too heavy for me to get out." Barnaby's brow furrowed with concern. "Oh, that is a pickle," he said. "The gurgling creek can be quite swift. Would you be so kind as to show me where it happened? I'd be more than happy to take a look for you." Flicker, amazed by the ogre's gentle manners, eagerly led him to the creek. The water was indeed rushing quickly, but Barnaby could see the faint glow of the pixie staff caught between two large rocks on the creek bed. "Please stand back a safe distance," Barnaby advised. He carefully waded into the chilly water, his large boots making soft splashing sounds. "Apologies, Creek, for disturbing you," he mumbled. With a gentle tug, he freed the staff from the rocks and waded back to the bank, holding the delicate glowing object in his huge palm. "Here you are, Miss Flicker," he said, presenting it to her. "I do hope it's not damaged." Flicker gasped with delight. She flew around his head in a shower of grateful sparks. Thank you, kind ogre. You've saved the evening." "How can I ever repay you?" Barnaby just smiled. "No repayment is necessary whatsoever. Seeing you happy is thanks enough. It was a pleasure to assist." He gave a small, courteous bow and turned to head home, feeling a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with the setting sun. But his day of good deeds wasn't over yet. On his way back to his cottage, he passed the edge of the gloomy caves, a place most woodland creatures avoided. A loud, frustrated roar echoed from within. It wasn't an angry roar, but a sad one. Barnaby hesitated. It wasn't polite to eavesdrop, but it also wasn't polite to ignore someone in distress. He cleared his throat. "Hello? Is anyone in there?" "My apologies for the interruption, but is everything all right?" A grumpy-looking goblin with a soot-stained face peeked out. "Go away, can't you see I'm busy being miserable?" He grumbled. "I can see that, yes," Barnaby replied calmly. "And I'm terribly sorry to hear it. My name is Barnaby. Might I ask what seems to be the trouble?" The goblin, surprised by the civil question, sighed. "It's my stew." My great-grandmother's famous surprise stew, but I can't find the most important ingredient. A sun-ripened bogberry. And my guests are arriving any minute. Barnaby's eyes lit up. A sun-ripened bogberry, you say? I do believe I know where some of those grow. It would be no trouble at all to fetch one for you, if you like. The goblin, whose name was Griselda, looked at Barnaby with suspicion, then with a glimmer of hope. You'd do that? For me? Of course, Barnaby said with a nod. Everyone deserves to have their great-grandmother's stew turn out perfectly. It's a matter of respect. Within minutes, Barnaby returned from a nearby thicket with a plump, juicy bogberry which he offered to the goblin. Griselda was speechless. He took the berry and mumbled, "Well, I thank you." "You are most welcome," Barnaby replied. "I hope your dinner party is a grand success." As Barnaby finally reached his own cozy cottage, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. He could hear the faint sound of the goblin's party starting, and in the distance he saw the moon petal flowers beginning to glow, lit by Flicker the pixie. He sat on his doorstep, sipping a cup of chamomile tea. He hadn't set out to have an adventure. He had simply set out to be kind, to be polite. And in doing so, he had untangled a mouse, lit up the forest, and saved a family recipe. The field mouse, now brave, scurried up and left a perfect wild strawberry at his feet as a thank you. Barnaby smiled, his big, kind heart full. He learned that the greatest adventures aren't always about slaying dragons or finding treasure. Sometimes, the greatest adventure is simply making the world a little bit better. One please, one thank you, and one act of kindness at a time. And in the Whispering Woods, the legend of the very polite ogre was just beginning. Thank you so much for joining me on this gentle adventure today. If you enjoyed Barnaby's story and want to hear more tales from our magical world, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It means the world to us. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep telling stories. Bye for now.